So, as I was trying to say, welcome to episode 1. Thanks for coming by. All right. So this is gonna end up replacing that weekly recap playlist I had on my channel. I'm gonna start doing weekly recap type videos live. I'm gonna attempt to do that every week, and it's gonna be just like weekly recaps. We're gonna talk about news, racing, MotoGP, World Superbike, motocross, and Supercross. And I want to talk about KTM and how they're trying to take over Supercross and motocross here in the United States. But before we get into that, I've got to play a clip, and I'm going to try and make this a tradition. And that is to start off the show with a very short clip of a two-stroke. It could be motocross and Supercross. It could be road racing. But this particular one is going to be Justin Barcia riding a YZ250 two-stroke. Let me just put this up on the screen for you guys. Man, you gotta love that. At this point, if your heart rate isn't at, I don't know, 110 beats per minute, you might be dead. You might be dead. You might want to have somebody check on you. Hopefully you're not alone in the room. Voices, thanks for the support, and we'll do our best. We'll do our best. All right. Now, before we jump into KTM taking over the world, at least here in the United States, with 3 different manufacturers running basically the same bike, before we get into that, real quickly, what's the difference between Supercross and motocross? At the 10,000 foot level, it's actually quite simple. So I just put up on the screen a couple pictures. This is actually a track in California. It's called Hangtown. We've got an aerial shot on the top, and then we've got a shot from the ground. And the main point here is motocross tracks take up a lot of space, and they're built over natural terrain. Doesn't mean that they won't sometimes truck in lots of dirt to keep maintenance and things like that, but the core of the track is sculpted over a natural terrain. That's motocross. The speeds are a lot higher, and Supercross, on the other hand, is a very spectator-oriented race. They literally truck in tons and tons of dirt, and they build the track inside a stadium, so it's very spectator-friendly. You can imagine looking at the pictures on the right. If you're at a motocross track, it's very difficult to find a spot where you can see the entire track. Usually what happens is you end up walking. You find a decent spot. You can see like a third of the track, maybe, if you're lucky. And then you end up walking to another spot, see another part of the track. And so the riders come into view, and then they leave, and you're waiting. They come back into view. It's actually a lot cooler to watch motocross on TV than it is in person. But however, if you've never been to it in person, you should definitely go check it out. However, Supercross, man, you're inside a stadium. Stadiums are usually located in cities, and they're very accessible. You can see the entire track no matter where you sit. It's a very spectator-friendly sport. It's a lot slower. The speeds are a lot slower than motocross, and it's all about kind of finesse and rhythm and timing. And now that we got that out of the way, those are like the core differences between Supercross and motocross, or motocross is also referred to as the great outdoors. Now you can kind of understand why. So I ran into this article on RacerX, which is one of the motocross sites that I go to frequently to get news. And there's this company called GAS. Now, if you've never heard of GAS, they're a motorcycle manufacturer. Started up in the mid '80s, and their origin is Spain, and they make a lot of off-road bikes. Never really became anything in the AMA Motocross and Supercross series here in the United States. But they are huge into trials, and they've got a small off-road presence, and they've actually won trials championships over the last few years. And this really struck me as odd because they are entering the 2021 Supercross and Motocross Championship here in the United States, and they got Justin Barcia riding for them. Justin Barcia is one of the top riders in the field. He's not the kind of rider that's going to go and jump on some new brand that's never done this before. He's in demand. He's a top rider. A lot of top teams would love to have him on their team. So it's like, that struck me as odd. It's like GAS is going to jump into Supercross for the first time ever, and they got Justin Barcia. It just didn't add up to me. So I kind of started digging around a little bit, trying to understand how the hell GAS thinks they're going to win a championship with Justin Barcia. And so I did a little research on GAS. And so here's a cool little fun fact for you. GAS literally means to gas it, to accelerate. I was like, wow, that's kind of a cool name. I can get behind that. But here, this struck me as odd. I don't know if the stream's capturing my mouse cursor, but that second block in red, KTM purchased GAS in 2019, last year. That got me thinking. And what it got me thinking about was KTM also purchased Husqvarna some number of years ago. And in the Supercross Motocross Championship, KTM and Husqvarna both compete. It's essentially the same bike. KTM purchased Husqvarna. KTM built an awesome machine and then just duplicated it and put Husqvarna plastics and branding on it. I'll show you some pictures here in a second. But immediately I was like, now I got to go see a picture of this GAS bike and see what it looks like. Here in this third little block of red, you can see that they've won trials. So it's, I don't want to make it sound like KTM or GAS is just a mirror of KTM. They've got their own thing with trials, and they're trials champions, and they're probably going to keep doing that. But in the sport of motocross and supercross, they have virtually no real experience in terms of national championships and racing. So enter KTM, right? So the next thing I did was, let's go take a look at this new GAS motorcycle. And so here it is. Not a bad looking machine. I kind of dig it. Red, kind of a little too Honda-ish, but it's a good looking bike. So immediately, I noticed the WP forks right here on the front, right? KTM runs WP forks. Husqvarna runs WP forks. And then I started looking at the engine and the frame, and I thought, you know what? This is a KTM. It's not a GAS. It's just a KTM club. So the thing about KTM is they've owned the off-road world for years. They dominate off-road. But it wasn't until 2015 KTM went all in and just dumped a bunch of money into their program. They built a whole new machine. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Built a brand new machine to race Supercross in the United States. Here you go. So this is Ryan Dungey, Roger DeCoster. This is a lot of money right here. And you can see the same frame design as on that GAS bike. So this was a few years back. KTM was like, we're going to race Supercross and motocross in the United States, and we're going to do it 100%. So they just put a boatload of money, built a new bike, hired all the best people, and they won the championship. And they won lots of races. They won multiple championships since they've done that. Shortly after their success, they rebranded Husqvarna. Basically, same motorcycle, just with Husqvarna branding on it. I'll show you a picture of that. There it is. It's essentially the same bike. It's hard to see the frame design, but it's the same tubular frame, which, by the way, KTM is the only one that runs a tubular frame. All the Japanese manufacturers run twin spar frames, which is a completely different design. But let's hide this Husqvarna picture. Put it back down. So do a little bit of research on Husqvarna, and of course everybody goes to Google, bring up the Husqvarna wiki page. Husqvarna is a Swedish company. KTM is an Austrian company. And GAS is a Spanish company. Now, however, since KTM has purchased Husqvarna, they have relocated headquarters. So now Husqvarna is a Austrian-based company with a Swedish origin, the same as KTM. So now KTM's got their headquarters in Austria, which is where they're from. Husqvarna, they've migrated them to Austria. I'm kind of curious to see if they will migrate GAS to Austria as well, since not the entire lineup, but clearly the Supercross and Motocross lineups are the same bike. They just put different plastic on them. So that'll be interesting to see. I don't know what they're going to do. Let's put these GAS pictures and the Husqvarna pictures. Well, let's do a KTM. Start with the KTM. Here's the KTM left side of the bike. It's a little bit easier to see things because the exhaust is out of the way. But if we take that and put, say, like the Husqvarna, put its left side underneath there. It's a little bit hard to see, but there's a little bit of a frame design right here where it kind of splits off and makes the shape of a Y. You can see the head and the cylinder of the engine. It's all the same WP suspension. The only thing that's really, really different is the plastics. The shape of the plastics, the color of the plastics, the Husqvarna logo versus KTM logo. It's the same bike. And then if we throw the GAS up there, same picture from before. That's a little bit different of an angle, but you can see the same Y shape in the frame, the same WP forks, the same engine, the same case cover. The Husqvarna's got like a magnesium color on it, but it's the same shape, it's the same color, you know. It's the same bike. I don't know if this is good for the sport or if it's bad for the sport, but I think maybe it's somewhat problematic. So here's the real telltale for me. I'm going to play a little clip of an interview with Justin Barcia. And before we do that, let me show you this Barcia open letter, okay? So once he had his deal all signed up with GAS, he published this open letter to say goodbye to his old team and hello to his new team and thank you to all my friends and family, etc., etc. And I'm going to work hard for GAS and we're going to have lots of success. Now, normally when a new team does something for the first time, like go race with Supercross or Motocross, they do not have instant success. There's a lot of learning that goes on, and it might take a couple of years. Now, KTM had pretty much instant success, but they also put all of their chips in. It's like they're at the poker table and just went all in. And the amount of experience they had behind that team was tremendous. So it wasn't that surprising that they had such instant success. But Gorilla Biker, thanks for dropping in, man. Sorry I'm late. No, dude, don't worry about it. All I know is it's got to be late out there. Swing arm looks a little. It does. The swing arm does look a little bit different. Now we'll go back to that picture. But the bikes are like 90% the same. They might have different brakes, Brembros, Nissans, but they're 90% the same. So, and I'm telling you, there's no way they'd get Justin Barcia if they didn't have a solid program with experience behind it. If it was literally a brand new bike, Barcia wasn't going to go do that. He was not going to go ride that thing. But here's the killer part, right? So KTM's Australian based, and GAS is from Spain. Husqvarna originally was Swedish. They've been relocated since they've been purchased by KTM to Austria. So here's the interview from Justin Barsha. Listen closely. This is very telling.
At the end of the day, where I'm at in my career, I've always, I always wanted to be on an Austrian bike, and this is just what I needed in my career at this point.
Did you hear that? He said he always wanted to be on an Austrian bike. He's riding GAS. I thought they were from Spain. Oh. For me, that kind of like sealed the deal as far as, it's totally a KTM clone. And they've had a lot of success lately. I don't blame Justin Barsha for wanting to ride a KTM. A lot of guys desire to be on that bike right now because it's had so much success. So let's just put up the GAS with the Husqvarna, because I think those two look the most the same, if that's even English I just let out of my mouth. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a picture of the GAS at like the same angle as the Husqvarna, but even the swing arms on the Husky and the GAS. And I gotta say, here in America we say Husqvarna, but I think it's actually Husqvarna. That's neither here nor there. I just want to shout that out real quick. I'm going to keep calling it Husqvarna. But these bikes look so identical. It's just uncanny. The plastics is the only thing that's really different from one to the other. And the color of the case cover, it's kind of a magnesium color on the Husqvarna versus the GAS. These are the same bikes. Same damn bikes. And their two-strokes are the same as well. But they don't race two-strokes anymore, as sad as that makes me. Oh man, we got 13 playbacks. Robert Cardoza. There's a slight difference. The motor package on the GAS is a little bit different than both the other two. I think the Austrians are using GAS as a test platform. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Like I know that with the 252 stroke SXs, there's some slight differences with the Husqvarna and the KTM. Like I think they use different carburetors. They've got. I've heard test riders say that the Husqvarna is a little bit friendlier of a power band, almost like the